Going to be exciting. We have a brand new NuRAD to unbox, and then we'll go step by step through what I think would be a really good quick start, going through the basic settings so that when you go to play it for the first time, you have a successful experience with a limited amount of frustration. This is going to be fun, so let's just get started. All right, so here we go. We're going to unbox a brand new NuRAD. NuRAD Instruments, NuRAD or new EVI. Designed in Sweden, manufactured in Japan. And here's what's in the box. It is a Berglund Instruments wind controller, NuRAD basic, midnight blue, wireless MIDI option, and a LiPo battery. So this looks good. Let's check it out. There we go. It looks like we got a little bit of foam protection on the top here. Now we've got a box of goodies, and let's check out what we've got in there. So we've got the handles. That's cool. And it looks like it's a pretty nice looking neck strap. Very good. We have a connector, a micro to USB connector. And we have a manual. And we'll have to check this out. Oh, and it's got a little instrument overview here saying what all the pieces are for. All right, so we're good. Let's just put that right back in there. It's good. And then, all right, this looks pretty interesting. It looks like extra bis key, some extra buttons and keys. And that's what we have inside the first layer. All right, so now let's get to take a look at it and get the second layer going here. All right, but we don't get to see it right away because it looks like it's wrapped up or it's in a little bag or something. Let's check her out. Oh, this is cool. The case. Well, it looks like that I'll probably cut to put inside my carrying case. That is awesome. All right. Oh, before we check out the instrument, this is going to be the MIDI beam wireless connector. There it is, the MIDI beam wireless, and then this is going to be for certain the connecting wire for the MIDI beam wireless. And we are all looking good. All right, so let's unveil this guy and see what he looks like. And okay, indeed is a bag. All right. And it is the midnight blue. Oh, that's gorgeous. It's black on the sides, dark blue on the top. Wow. It is absolutely beautiful. And it looks like the on-off button has a little piece of tape on it. I'm going to pull that off. Let's pull that tape off. Okay, and has a little protector in there to keep it from going on and off while transport, I would imagine. And be interested to see if this fires right up. It's got the LiPo battery in there. And yeah, menu lit right up. I'm going to go down and check the battery. Says the battery is at 20%, so I'm going to give this a little charge before we hook it up to anything. Okay, this has been charging now for about 2 hours, so let's just check out how things are going to be. So I'm turning it on, and we're going to jump in the menu here, press the menu button, going to scroll down to about, and this will give us a battery percentage. And it says it's 50%, which is a little surprising. It feels like it should be higher, but something else I noticed there, here, let's go there again. It says it's set up for alkaline battery. Well, it's supposed to be set up for a LiPo battery. And so we need to go to extras. So I'm going to scroll up to extras and enter. And I'm going down to battery type. And sure enough, it says alkaline, and we want it to be LiPo. So now the monitoring system for battery percentage and voltage will be set for a LiPo battery, which is good because that's what's in here. And now let's go back to menu. and scroll down to about and see what we've got. Now we have LiPo battery 100% charged. So we should be good to go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is install the handles. And so it is possible to get these on backwards, right? Because there's a slight curve on it. So you want that curve to be, if your instrument is laying on its front like this, you want that curve to be towards the front. So this is the curve, put it on this way. This always makes me nervous putting these in because you can't put them in very far or they won't go in. And then it takes a little bit of pressure to put them in the whole way. And it just feels a little uncomfortable at first, but there it is. And then you just snap this guy in there. Now look at that, we've got the handles on. Looks good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to go into the settings and make sure that our sensors are sending MIDI signals that we want to be sending so that it plays properly. We want to do that before we try to play it. So to do that, first of all, we're going to turn it on and we'll get a moment that it'll display the firmware, and that's very important. So here, let's do it again. It's 1.6.0. You'll see it lower right-hand corner. There it is. Right now, I did notice that the manual that was sent is 1.4.6. So we're going to want to go to the Bergland website and download the proper firmware manual and make sure that our firmware is up to date. And I know that this is up-to-date firmware. So now, with that, let's dive into the settings. So we need to understand these buttons a little bit. So the outside button here, that is the menu button. All right, and then to jump inside one of the subjects listed, you press enter, and then once you're in enter, this is scroll up, and this is scroll down. And then after you've scrolled to the setting that you want, you press enter, and then you can press menu, and it's going to turn off. Sorry. So we're going to check out several things. First of all, we're going to go to breath setup because that's maybe the most important one. We want to make sure that's set for BR to initially check it out. And it is set to CF. So if we would have hooked this up, it would not have worked properly. So let's go to breath, BR, press enter, and that's going to be good. Let's go back to the menu. And the next thing we want to do is bite. So I like bite to control portamento. So I want to set my bite to glide, and it's set for vibrato. So if you want to use bite vibrato, then this is properly set, but that's not what I want. I want it to be glide. So I'm going to press enter, and now I can almost be assured that the lever will be set to glide, and it is. So if you set your bite to vibrato, you probably want to set your lever to glide, but I do it the other way. I want my lever to be vibrato. So there it is. And that should be pretty good. I think that's going to cover all our sensors. Oh, the lip sensor. Let's go to that. Let's enter it's extra. It's the extra. There it is. Extra CCA, and that's set for foot pedal. That's CC4. That's exactly what I want it to be. So I'm just going to accept that. And now our settings are ready. And now we can hook up to a software synth and check everything out and see how it's going. In fact, I think we'll do a MIDI monitor first to see if we have any, if it's sending any MIDI data that we don't want to have. And then we can shut that down so it won't interfere with our playing. The next stage is going to be hooking our NuRAD to our computer and using a MIDI monitor to see if we're sending the signals that we want to and making for certain we're not sending signals that we don't want sent. So that's going to require hooking up to the computer. So I'm taking my MIDI micro USB cable and hooking it into the port here, and that is good to go. And then I want my switch to be set to towards the mouthpiece, because that position means it's going to use USB power from my computer rather than using my battery power. So that's nice to know. And now let's turn our attention to the MIDI monitor. Now we're getting all kinds of MIDI data being sent right now because I am touching the sensors. So let's clear this, and I won't touch any sensors. And nothing is being sent. This is great. Every once in a while, you'll start to hear a sound when you don't want to, or it'll be bending when you don't want to, or it'll be glistening when you don't want to. And then more likely, it is sending a very small MIDI message. So what you do is you go into settings and adjust the settings to get rid of that. And there's some squelch settings that you can use to get rid of miscellaneous MIDI data being sent, but there isn't any, and that is good news. Up here on the left, it's saying the new EV is connected. I know we have a NuRAD, but this is what it is. So now let's just go through and see if everything works. So we'll check breath. Perfect. It's sending breath signal. That's going to be great. We're going to clear it and check bite. Byte is sending portamento, so that is great. We're going to clear it. I lost my mouse. There we go. We're going to clear it, and now we'll do the thumb lever. That is pitch wheel, and that's perfect. Let's do bend up. Bend up is perfect. Bend down. Bend down is perfect. And the lip, the extra lip is sending foot control. So that's also perfect. So everything appears to be working exactly the way it's supposed to be. So let's hook it up to a soft synth and have some fun. Okay, so we don't want to forget about pairing up to the middle MIDI beam. So I've taken my MIDI beam and I've connected it to the USB of my computer, and it's flashing saying it wants to pair. And now all I'm going to do is turn on the NuRAD, and it has to be the bottom switch position because we're not going to use MIDI. And it paired immediately, right? So I don't know it can get any better than that. But so if it doesn't, though, we're going to pretend that it didn't. You just press the pairing light, and now this will be searching. You'll see a little light in there blinking. So they're searching for each other. But to tell the NuRAD to engage, you can either open up the lid and push the little button on top of the teensy loader, or you can take this magnet and go down across the teensy, and you can see it paired up. So now they're paired. And then the next time that I turn on, here I'm going to turn it off. The next time I turn on, it'll immediately pair. And let's just play it, see if it's working. So here we go. There we go. That's how the MIDI beam gets connected. Well, now we're set up. We know everything's working right. We can give it a good play test without being frustrated by the many things that could have occurred had we not gone through the process we just did. All right, so let's just dive inside of Ableton and the EVI-NER and see what we can do there. Okay, so here we are inside of Ableton. That's the DAW that I use. You could use any DAW, and I like to use the EVI-NER. Note that it'd be very wise to use a soft synth to get started that's designed specifically for wind controllers, because then you know that it's going to work properly with the NuRAD or the new EVI, and the problems that you're experiencing aren't an interface between the instrument and the synthesizer. So the EVI-NER is made by Davidson Carpenter. It's real reliable, it's real smooth, fun to work with, gives you lots of great feedback. So first of all, I'm using the EVI-NER patch, which is, you know, the signature patch of the synth, and I make very few changes, but I'll tell you what I do. First of all, I always go to the effects and I back normally I think the mix for the reverb is about 50%, and I just back this off some because I like it to be here. And then the other is in the expert section. Go to mod, this assign right here. You can assign
a CC, any number CC, and we want this one 4 because that is an extra CC value that we're sending with the lip sensor, right? So that's our CC4 is on a sine, and then you can see here that I've programmed a sine into this first slot, which means the CC4 is going to be sent to the wave shape amount, and then what it does just puts a little bit of a distortion on top of the sound when I want it to. So here's an example. Just puts a little bit of a color to the sound. And that's the only changes that I've made to this particular patch, but they're very useful. So now let's just look at what's going on inside the patch. So there's 4 monitoring windows, or inside the synth rather. There's 4 monitoring windows, and the first one's for pitch bend, up and down, and also vibrato. So they're both, that's going to monitor that. Then breath is the second window. Yep, sounds good. This is the lip sensor. So when this is engaged, it'll put that little color change on top of the sound. Right, and then finally, this one is the bite, and I have that, remember, we set that up for portamento. So when I bite, this engages, and then it'll use portamento. So now we're set up to have fun, and everything's going to work. And that's pretty much it. So you're all set to go. I think if you walk through this process, it's going to give you a good basic understanding how the instrument, this particular instrument, works, and give you a pretty graceful road into being able to play and not be so frustrated. So if you need any help, please reach out to me. I'm at curtsipe@me.com is my email, and you could always join the EWI Den for free, and that's curtsipe.com. And there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of new stuff coming soon. So I've been working on a project specifically with the NuRAD. So keep in touch. Let me know how you're doing. I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, bye-bye.